All right, Rob, here's what I want to ask you. And I said this earlier. If the MVP, and we're early, but this is what you do, right? 4 games in, a month into the regular season. And I was saying earlier, as we were talking about the Bills, that I think you could make a good case for Josh Allen as MVP. But I think the top 3, we had a caller, Chili Tim said Tua, I think it was him. And that's fine, because Tua's got the best numbers, right? And they obviously are having a successful season at 3-1. So that's legit. Tua, Josh Allen. And to me, Rob, the third guy, when you just watch these games and see the impact he's having on the games, I would say Christian McCaffrey, the running back for the San Francisco 49ers. It would hurt. Those would be, it changes. I had Micah Parsons number 1 after 2 weeks. So, we're just talking. But right now, I think those 3 would be my top 3. Tua, Josh Allen, and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, and I got it. He's, what has he got, 600 yards? League leading,
459
right?
rushing. He's leading the league by almost 100 yards.
Yep, 7 touchdowns.
He's on pace, Rob, for 1,951 rushing yards, which, isn't a record. It's not even 2,000. I don't want to say not even. Like, that's easy to do. But remember, you get the extra game, and it still wouldn't be 2,000 yards, and 25 touchdowns. So it's not like, these are historic numbers, but he is putting up great numbers. He's averaging 5.7 yards a carry, and he's valuable in their receiving game. He's got the second most catches in the league for a running back. Now, he's not close to the top in receivers, but for a running back, he's second most receptions. And Rob, and I know last year doesn't matter, but since he joined the team, remember he was traded there from Carolina midway through last season, they're 14-1. And they lost the first game he played. Remember, he came in like early in the week, and it was questions, is he even going to play? And he did play, but really didn't know the playbook and all that. That's the game they lost against Kansas City. So since then, they've actually won 14 straight games with him on the team. And so, again, I know that doesn't count for this year, but I think the dude is, again, you look at Patrick Mahomes not having his typical season. Lamar's not really having an MVP season, although he's playing really well. Justin Herbert's playing well, but they're 2-2. Joe Burrow's not in the hunt. Jalen Hurts is not putting up the tremendous numbers. The guys with some of the guys with big numbers aren't winning, So I do think right now those would be my top 3.
Yeah. Here's the problem with that, Chris, is that we have seen other guys put up some incredible numbers when you talk about not being a quarterback, right? And those guys could barely even get a vote. And I think that is the problem that he's going to have. Is like, was it, I don't have them in front of me, Rob G. Do I have it all? Okay, Rob G, jump in, because we went over this list. And Chris, just listen to the guys and what they were able to do and the numbers they put up and barely sniff votes. Barely. Double. Like, that's the issue. Rob, you got the list.
This is the last 10 years non-quarterbacks to get MVP votes, and guys who put up great numbers couldn't even get an MVP vote.
Let me ask you this, sure. Rob G.
Yep.
Isn't the voting a tad bit different now?
Now it is, yes.
Right. So explain that.
So now you can vote first, second, and third place votes. And you get a percentage.
And that's just started what?
Last year.
So when you get these numbers, this was when you just, correct, for the most part, you just voted for one person.
Sure. So
that's a huge difference.
Here's in the last 10 years non-quarterbacks to get MVP votes and what they had to do to even get a vote. 2021, Cooper Kupp got 1 vote. He won the NFL receiving triple crown. Second most yards ever, second most
Which
catches
is crazy.
ever.
Just
Got
think about
one
that.
vote.
He got one vote and put in that kind of work.
2017, Todd Gurley got 8 votes. He had over 2,000 scrimmage yards and 19 touchdowns as the hub
I remember
of
thinking
the Rams
that Gurley
offense.
was certainly the Rams MVP.
Right. 2016, Ezekiel Elliott got 6 votes. He had just under 2,000 scrimmage yards, 16 touchdowns. Again, him and Dak, that surprise season as rookies. 2014, this was the closest. J.J. Watt got 13 votes, 20 and a half sacks, a touchdown, and he had 3 receiving touchdowns. So
That's pretty incredible. 20 and a half sacks, 13 votes is a lot.
And then here, Rob Parker. These are the guys you mentioned that had phenomenal seasons, couldn't get a single vote. 2020, Derrick Henry, over 2,000 rushing yards.
2,000 rushing yards, 0 votes. Like 0.
Well, again, that was when they only voted for one person. Who won the MVP that year?
I believe that was Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers that year?
Yeah. 2019, Michael Thomas, NFL record at the time, 149
Another one,
catches.
149 catches went
No
for
votes.
not.
2018, Aaron Donald, a defensive tackle, got 20 and a half sacks. No votes. It's a quarterback award until further notice.
I think that's a little, but I think those, like number one, I think, again, that was most of those were, if not all of them, were in years where you only voted for one person, not 3. And I imagine 3, it won't just be based on who has the most first place, right? It'll be like
It'll be like the other NBA votes.
System, right?
Point system.
2, I'd like to know what those guys' records were. Now, maybe they were great. I remember the year, was it 2012 you said for J.J. Watt when he had the 20 and a half sacks? And they had a really good season, the Texans.
That was
year.
2014. 2012, Adrian Peterson actually won it. He got 30 votes, won MVP. He had over 2,000 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns. Remember, they didn't have a quarterback that year. It was Adrian Peterson left, Adrian Peterson right, and they ended up winning the division.
So 2014 was the year J.J. Watt
had the phenomenal season.
Was he with Houston?
Yes.
They went 9-7. You're not winning it at 9-7. So I think a few things have to happen. One, obviously McCaffrey would have to keep this up, okay, which is, that's a lot to ask. So, but if he keeps this up, Rob, and they go, say, 14-3, he's in the conversation. Now, so but that doesn't seal it, obviously. But I think if he keeps these numbers up, gets near 2,000 yards rushing, and they go 14-3, I think he's in the discussion. But then, Rob, what if no quarterback from one of the highest winning teams has great numbers? That's the type of thing that I think would open it up for a non-quarterback to win the award. Like, what if Philly ends up with the best record? And, Philly's going to have a great record. Jalen Hurts right now not putting up MVP numbers. San Francisco's going to have a great record. Nobody's going to make Brock Purdy the MVP. Dallas, I don't think Dak at this point would be in the MVP race. Buffalo, of course, Josh Allen, Miami, Tua. Right now, I think Patrick Mahomes probably will get himself back in the race. And then Lamar,
but this is the problem, and you saw with Michael Parsons, Chris. You have a bad game, one bad game, and the way that award is set up, you could fall out of it like that. After the first 2 games, you were feeling good about him, just saying if he continues to play that way. Right. He has one bad game, and they're like, you don't even address that. It wasn't
even like that bad.
No, but you know what I'm saying, right? Already, it's kind of like, okay, well, you'll move on to somebody else. I do think
the bar. Well, they got beat by the freaking Arizona
I know, but you get what I'm saying, though.
But I do think, unfortunately, the bar is probably higher for a non-quarterback, right? Like, you're right. Like, and I think, look, they've played 4 games. So each game, and at that point, when they lost Arizona, they only played 3 games. So I think when you're this early in the season, you're looking more at each individual game. But at the end of the year, Parsons may have 3-4 games where he doesn't do much, But if he's got 22 sacks, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to say, oh, but he didn't play well in that one game against Houston or whatever. Same for McCaffrey. If he's got 2,000 yards, 2,300 yards from scrimmage, and he had 2 piss poor games, that's not going to matter because of the grand total. So I just think it's heightened right now because it's so early in the year and there's so few games that they've played.
Here's the other thing, too, is that in Vegas right now, Brock Purdy, right, has better odds.
It does than McCaffrey?
Than McCaffrey. Because of the nature of the award.
So what are the odds? Give me the top 5 right now.
Rob G has it. You got him?
It depends on where you look, right? Because each sportsbook has different odds. But the consensus, go to Vegas Insider. They have a compiling of all the different outlets you can bet at. In order, the top 6 right now are Josh Allen.
From 6 up?
No, from 1 down.
Give us from 6.
Okay. From 6 up. Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa, Josh Allen.
That's kind of ridiculous.
And then get this, below Brock Purdy, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and then Christian McCaffrey.
Come on, Rob. I know you're arguing that, and I get it. You're just saying this is how it is. But does that list sound right to you? Trevor Lawrence?
I know.
He's ahead of Christian McCaffrey.
No, that list doesn't sound right. And I don't even know. Like, that's a ridiculous list. But yeah.
And even Brock Purdy. Look, I like Brock Purdy, and he's playing great. But Christian McCaffrey is the main cog of that offense.
But again, we just saw it with the Giants, Chris, and I hear you. The same way that they kind of discounted Saquon, right, for Daniel Jones. This is the problem.
This is part of why.
What did Charlie Weiss just say? Didn't he say the same thing?
Yeah, and don't think this doesn't play into the finances, right?
It does.
I mean, Christian McCaffrey's behind Trevor Lawrence.
How?
And Brock Purdy. I mean, and Mahomes hasn't had a great year. Mahomes just threw 2 interceptions yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
It's just.
And guess what? Mahomes and Russell Wilson have the same stats.
Right.
Can you believe that?
Russ has actually got good numbers. He's in the top 10 in almost everything. Yes, but that tells you what we're dealing with. Rob, do you second my notion that make a Peyton Manning award or Johnny Unitas award?
I was going to say it would have to be Johnny Unitas or somebody of that ilk.
Cool with that.
Like Cy Young, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like somebody from the old days.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't think anybody would be mad about that.
Nah, not at all.
And give it to that'll be prestigious, just like the Cy Young.
The Cy Young is a big award.
Right now, it's ridiculous that you can't even. Yeah, the Cy Young is at least as big as the MVP. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing for a pitcher. Oh, yeah, Cy Young.